the author of a brand new book, The Liberty Amendments, Restoring the American Republic, radio talk show host, best-selling author, the great one, Mark Levin. How are you, brother?
Sean,
good to see you, man. It's good to get you out of the bunker there. The book is phenomenal.
Thank you.
All right. I've read it cover to cover. I want to start with, you believe America is now in a post-constitutional period, and that this was anticipated by our framers in 1787, and there is a mechanism that they have created that would allow amendments to begin in the states. I'm not explaining it as well as you. I want you to lay out the case.
Well, I think we had to stop fooling ourselves. You know, I've written other books about political philosophy and conservatism and non-conservatism. You look at the government today, it's not really a representative republic. You've got a massive bureaucracy pushing out 3,000 laws every year. Nobody's voted for them. Nobody even knows who they are. You look at the Supreme Court today, one justice moving in one direction or another, issues these breathtaking laws that have effect on the entirety of society with no recourse. You have the President of the United States brazenly, rewriting laws and saying if Congress doesn't act, he will act. And then you have Congress writing these massive laws under the cover of dark, issuing them quickly on matters that they don't have any right to legislate about, and conferring enormous authority on these departments and agencies they create, delegating lawmaking authority to the executive branch. So it's not really a representative republic. It's not really a federal republic. It's not really a constitutional republic, because we're unmoored from the Constitution. And for 100 years, the progressive movement, I call them the statists, have been chiseling away at the constitutional construct. And it's time for conservatives and other Americans to say, you know what, they've succeeded. This is why we have top-down government. This is why the government's involved in everything from selecting our toilets and our light bulbs and our automobiles and our toasters. Now they're in our health care. They're collecting all kinds of data on us. And I'm simply saying, I think it's time, if Americans want to remain free, to start reacquainting ourselves with the Constitution, and specifically Article 5, and specifically the second part of Article 5, which is the amendment process. The framers thought, some of them in particular, that we might reach this point with an oppressive centralized government. You look at the Constitution, it is written to prevent this. But they feared that, politicians would lack virtue and we would reach this state. And so they left us a legacy. They left us the Second Amendment process under the Constitution, which essentially bypasses Congress, bypasses the federal government, and gives the states the power collectively in a convention, not a constitutional convention, a convention, the Constitution says, for proposing amendments to the rest of the states.
That's very different, though.
Very different, because the Constitution is not up for grabs any more than when Congress, 2/3 of both houses, recommends amendments to the Constitution. Here, the states would be recommending amendments to the Constitution. The reason the framers did this is because they said an oppressive federal government, an oppressive Congress, is not going to rein itself in with constitutional amendments. And I'm not into just amending the Constitution willy-nilly. I'm into following the process the Constitution itself grants us. We are the progeny of the framers of the Constitution. This is our heritage. And we can beg senators and congressmen to reform themselves all we want. It doesn't appear they're prepared to do it. We can beg the Supreme Court not to issue outrageous decisions based on their own policy preferences. They ignore us. The President of the United States could care less what we think. So this is a way, the framers believed, for the grassroots, the people engaged with state delegates and state senators, to begin a long process of taking our country back.